once again, and welcome to another episode, the first live video stream of the IMIGHTBEAKOOK podcast. It's me, your boy, the Mac, Chris Otto, here for another episode with your boy, the Trust Fund Kid.
Yo.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going with you?
Pretty pumped. Listen, I gotta take a second to give you kudos in this whole producer corner section you got going on. You got a lot of figuring out. A lot of stuff decided it was going to disappear and reload.
Yeah, this shit's crazy.
And also got to bring to your attention that we have a ghost in here.
Oh, that's great. It's cool now until you guys leave, and then I'm here by myself, all scared.
All scared, all on your lonesome?
Yeah.
So what's going on? No, buddy.
Not much. Just working. I had a work weekend. It kind of sucked.
Work weekends always suck.
Yeah.
I worked this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
Close.
It's never good to work the weekends.
So this is weird. Usually we're across from each other, talking to each other. Now we got.
Yeah. Well, I don't like. What do we do in this case? Like,
I don't know. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Are we gonna like? Do we stare at each other? Do we stare at the camera?
I'm not sure. I guess we just talk to each other like we normally would, and then.
All right. So, I bought a book.
All right. You gotta move over, bro. Say yourself.
Center myself.
There you
Okay.
go. You bought a book.
I bought a book
That's the first I ever heard that.
by Thomas Sowell, who's like a economist.
Okay.
It's called Wealth, Poverty, and Politics.
Did you start it yet?
I just got it. Literally just got it.
Like when?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Amazon.
So you didn't start it.
I got it like when I came home from work.
All right. Did you read the back? Do you have the back at least so you can read?
I have
the
front.
little synopsis. No, the back gives you usually the.
Synopsis. Here we go. I got the back right
You don't have to
here.
read the whole thing. Just give us like.
Unfortunately, this picture's too blurry. I can't bring it up. All right, here we go.
Like, why did you get it then? Why did you get this book?
I don't know, like, because economics for some reason has been like interesting to me lately,
Okay.
and I feel like I don't know. I haven't read it in a while, and it kind of like shit always happens. It just came to me to go get it, and so I got it.
This specific book or
This
any?
specific
So
book.
why this book?
Because I guess I was going through the interwebs one night and I came across Thomas Sowell, and I guess he's pretty big in the economics world.
I've heard the name before.
And he's written a bunch of books actually, and this is the one that came to mind. So I got it and see what happens from there.
All right. Well, maybe if I ever finish the synchronicity key.
Still haven't finished
I
it?
can't. I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I think what I'll do is I'll set up to talk about the first half or the first 3 quarters because the last part is just so. It's so shitty. It's so shitty. I just can't do it.
Is it just dry or like what's?
I think that the guy who wrote it, David Wilcox. I think he wrote it at 2 different times. I think he wrote the first like half or 3 quarters together, and then I think he wrote the last part
At a different time frame?
Just completely different time frame. He was in a different frame of mind. That's my theory because it's written poorly. It's so hard to read. So my mom's gonna read it, and then we'll see because she has similar taste. So if she makes it through it, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also, so in the book it talks about Edgar Cayce, who I'll talk about when we get to it, when I finish the book and do a recap of it. So Edgar Cayce did readings back in like I think it's like the 20s. He did over 20,000 readings. He could like tell where people were reincarnated, like where their past lives. He could
Like almost an exact?
No. He could literally put somebody into like a hypnotic state and read their past. He could get those things. So he lived down in Virginia Beach for a time.
Woo! Virginia Beach!
So myself and my mom are going to go down there. We have a hotel room, and we're going to go check out all his spots early November.
Nice. Gotta admit though, these mics are pretty fresh. These
Yeah.
little guys, no more like leaning over.
It's actually kind of weird. I'm like too comfortable.
Too comfortable. Like, what do we do? Like
Like
not going like
Did we?
this.
I don't think we didn't adjust the whiteness, did we? We're still too bright. We still look ghostly?
Yeah.
I was supposed to adjust that.
You want to adjust it, or we just say,
Yeah.
it's the first time,
Yeah,
so you can always change it later.
Man, you're not kidding. These are fucking comfy chairs.
Are you familiar with Steven Crowder?
No.
Oh man, I got put into like a YouTube video hole this weekend.
Okay.
He's like he says he's like, I don't want to say anti-media, but he's not like a regular media site.
Okay.
He worked for Fox, he's worked for CNN, he started like his own thing, and he started a mini-series. He's called Change My Mind, which he'll go to like a school campus or something, and he'll have a big sign that says, there are only two genders, change my mind. I am pro-gun, change my mind.
Marcus Mariota sucks, change my mind.
Marcus Mariota sucks, change my mind. Yeah, that guy. So basically he goes to campus and, he says, I am pro-gun, and he invites people, doesn't make anyone, it's all like you can willingly come up and converse about it and stuff. But it's not necessarily, like, they had some good conversations, good debates, good arguments, but I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Cleaver, about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, like, one of these things, it's like, it's really tough sometimes to, like, why do you need to have an opinion on it? Like, why can't you just float in, like, a space? Because for me, the one topic, there's just too much data for me to process,
Okay.
And, I was telling Clee this, and he says, he explained it's like a term, I guess. It's a Greek term. What did he say it was called? I know if he's watching live right now, he's saying, it's this, you dummy. But it's ceteris paribus. It's an economics phrase, and it's used constantly. I guess it means other things being constant.
Okay.
And it's like, so me and old Antoine Tyson DeGrasse, we have conversations all the time, right? But neither one of us like strongly say this is this and this is that. Depending on what it is, it could be maybe what's the science behind this or that.
Okay.
But on certain things, we'll be like, what do you think of this? If we're gonna, we'll make a statement. If it's going to be this, then we have to take all this other stuff in effect. But if we're gonna say it's not that, we'll say, if we were to say it's this, it's more like the if game than the absolute game one.
About what? What are we talking about? Anything?
Certain topics, well, I know for the that if we go to that Steven Crowder Change My Mind series in particular, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-life. I think.
Who the fuck is Steven Crowder that we need to change his mind? Fuck him.
Yeah, listen, I'm not.
I'm saying, who is he? Who is he that he's cocky enough to go sit somewhere and write shit that says change my mind? Like, who the fuck is he?
A guy with millions of views on YouTube, I guess.
Fuck him.
Fuck you, Steven Crowder.
It's like the Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, get in line. You're on the back burner right now. Steven fucking Crowder, we're coming for you.
I did watch the Joe Rogan, the newest
stand-up special?
Yeah, it was good.
Don't ruin it for me. I didn't watch it.
Oh man, he's fucking good. It's really good.
Speaking of Joe Rogan, right? I just watched a talk he did with Ben Shapiro.
Okay. Who's that?
Ben Shapiro is, he's like a lecturer. He goes around discussing at universities privilege, like white privilege, male privilege, feminism, and all that stuff. He's, I guess, an intellectual type. I'm using quoting marks because these aren't my words describing him. This is, I guess,
somebody else
the world's,
described him as a
intellectual.
Intellectual.
See, we should have like some like buzzers going off for like intellectual and have it at the top of the screen go intellectual, quoting marks. Producer.
Oh wait, he's right there.
So, one of the things he was Joe Rogan was talking about with Ben Shapiro was about like where does he see the future of sports such as MMA and football, and Joe was saying that short term he sees it being around, but the long term he doesn't because of CTE and all that.
Wait, what? he thinks football's going to go away
Eventually,
because of CTE.
yeah. Well, because of the science behind it.
What? Football fans don't give a fuck about science.
Sure, I'm just saying. Like
That's talk about living in a fantasy world.
But see, people are putting their kids less and less in football at a young age because of the CTE research.
Yeah, but football's not going to go away. Not a fucking chance. The people whose kids were gonna suck anyway are taking their kids out of football.
You don't think people are gonna take their kids out in general just out of fear?
Of course, you can make that general statement about anything. Some kids, not all kids.
I could.
Football, sports are some people's only way out.
Yeah. Well, my disagreement with him was more on like the UFC part, to where I think long-term UFC is going to kind of regress back into its infancy to when it was just like a street fighter versus a taekwondo expert. Because at the root of it all, I think no matter how advanced we become, like it's year 40,000 and we're just like floating beings that talk with our minds and stuff, we still will have that part of us where we want two people physically damaging the other person. I don't
think if we make it to floating beings, we'll give a fuck about people hitting each other.
Yeah, but fighting's been around for so many centuries, dude.
Well, if you start when I get into the this book that I'm reading and the Edgar case and the cycles of time, you'll see that it's broken down into like a golden age and different ages, and basically what it says is that we're on track to hit that golden age, which would kind of be when we'd be like floating. We would hit the next dimension. We would not be in this dimension. Do you know what I mean? So when we do hit that level, we won't be here anymore. We would move. We would go away from the earth as light beings, basically.
And you think our Neanderthal DNA will, whatever traces are left within us are going to be gone?
No, see,
because that's what makes us want to
see
someone get punched in the head.
Yeah, but if you go back into some of these different things, first of all, that says that we're evolving, which there's a lot of science I think is going to come out in the next 10, 20 years, which shows that we were around a lot longer than our history shows. So the whole evolving thing, I think we've been evolving a lot longer than we think.
Do you think it's as fast of a pace as we think? Faster? Not as fast?
No, I think we've been here for probably millions of years.
And you think man has been fighting man? How long do you think we've been like fighting as men to men?
Well, the way so if you go back roughly like 12,800 years, it's kind of when we emerge back on history on the scene, right?
Okay.
So I would say it's that length. Before that, you're looking at either the Atlantean or some other sort of histories that peoples that were here and they were kind of wiped out. I think they would have been much less warfaring. But there's still even history of that. I mean, the goal is to reach where we love each other, but obviously
and don't need that. But
we struggle with that.
That's why I'm just guessing. Like, long time from now, no matter how advanced we come, at our roots, we're still going to enjoy someone. Whether and it could be like.
Well, the point is to get to the point where we don't. But if we don't make that.
I don't think everyone's going to reach that point, though. I think it'll kind of be like today, where
it's a cycle.
Yeah, where not everyone. Saying "make the cut" sounds so bad, right?
So it's kind of tough for me to talk about this with you because when we go over where this book, I want to talk about, give you a really in-depth look into what some people believe, because it totally changes this whole thing. It changes the whole thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, because we're all at different levels.
Sure.
So that's where you're saying everybody where they don't make the cut. But the thing is they're not at the same level, and it'll be. I think we should table this for when we discuss that because it really fits well with that discussion. If I keep bringing it up, it's gonna make that talk pointless, and I don't have all that I want to talk about.
Should I read that after you read it, and then we have that conversation?
Why don't you just read it right now? You just get it on your own. I'm sure you can find it for like 99 cents.
All right. Listen, I didn't know if it's something you wanted me to read at the same time as you and have it, or read it after your TED talk.
No, well, I'm not doing that. But we could. No, I'll bring my report, my book report, and then I'll talk it over, and then you can come at me or come at it from the kind of shit that you're talking about right now. It will fit. It will fit. It will fit together very well.
All right. Well, to be determined till next time.
Or if that's what you wanted to talk about for this one. I don't know. Did we just make it there, or did you have this to talk about? I don't even know how we got where we're at.
I kind of had this to talk about.
You got to tell me because
it's all right.
Listen, this fit perfectly into that. It's literally, it's gonna gel.
Well, that's the power of this being our show. Is there's no rush, there's no deadline,
There's no rules.
That's right. We can always come back as a collective duo and talk about it then. Or all right, so back to it stemming from the Joe Rogan Ben Shapiro interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things Joe said that recommended that we should maybe go to a system to where we get rid of the president.
Okay.
And have, like, say, a board of wise men.
Congress. Okay.
No, where
the Supreme Court. Okay.
Instead of the president.
We already have that, but okay.
This isn't my
I know.
this isn't my thing. But he said that you gotta, I guess, take tests in order to qualify for it, right? Compared to now, to where you can just say
test. Who writes the test?
And what if you take tests in order to vote? You have to be.
Who writes the test? Once again, now you're making government in charge of more shit. They're just gonna fuck it up even more.
But if we were to have tests, right?
Who? No, I don't want tests. Who writes the tests? Now you got government bureaucrats writing tests. The bureaucracy will just continue on.
But
more shoveling shit.
The problem is, right? Currently, we have people that are just dumb imbeciles that are voting on shit that they don't even know what the fuck is going on.
Okay. And how do we fix that? By creating tests?
There's got to be a qualification system, right?
There is a qualification system.
To vote.
Why does there have to be a qualification system to vote? It's your right. You have the right to vote in the Constitution. If you're an adult, you have the right to vote. There should not be a qualification system.
I'm not arguing
because who makes the qualification system? It's made by the government. The people in government are not going to create a system that benefits everyone.
Sure.
Come on. It's fucking stupid.
But you think any maniac should just because they're 18 should be able to vote?
Yes, absolutely.
Without knowing any background on issues and what they're actually voting for. Like, it could be like...
I'm not saying that's what they should do.
All your first children
right
should, be marching to a death camp. Oh, yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah,
because they're a dummy.
Yes, they should be able to vote because they're a dummy. Because that's their right given to them by being a citizen of the United States of America.
But
protected by the Constitution.
But don't you think not being informed enough on issues and then voting on said issues plays a part in the system as a whole being fucked up?
Of course it plays a part. You could make a million different things that plays a part, but when you're going to start taking rights away from the citizens, that's not going to help. That's going to make things worse because you're going to get closer and closer to fascism. The more shit you put into the government's control, the worse things are going to get. Come on. That's obvious.
Then let's get rid of the executive branch as a whole then.
No, that we need the executive branch. Who's going to enforce? So just no cops. What do you think cops fall under?
The judiciary.
No, that's That's the judicial system. Law enforcement falls under the executive branch. Congress makes...
Really?
Yes.
Damn, I'm a dummy then.
There we go. The legislative branch creates the laws. The executive branch enforces the laws. And the judicial branch interprets the laws.
Yeah, but I thought like courts is the. I thought like the courts.
This is the problem.
Right here. This is
Jesus
the
Christ.
I thought the court's jobs of the judges like isn't to interpret the law. It's uphold the law.
No, that's the executive branch. Police uphold the law. Legislative makes it. Executive enforces it. Judicial interprets it. Because let's say, let's just go, because you know what common law is. So where a lot of law comes from is common law. Like let's say back in the day there was a guy who was in charge of a town.
Okay.
Me and you, we have a problem. We made an agreement to give each other some wheat in response for fucking wheat, not weed.
Wheat? Are you saying wheat?
Radishes?
With a T or a D? I have no snare.
So we agree to give each other some shit, some wheat, for whatever. You give me wheat, I give you 7 shillings of fucking
Turnips?
cow dung, right? And then, but we disagree on something. So the rule is that should be whatever, that's fine. We go and talk to this guy, and then he says, no, you only get 5 shillings of cow dung, but that wheat amount is correct. So whatever rule he just made, right, that's now common law. But he interpreted it for us. Even though the law was written a certain way or was whatever, we had a disagreement because we both had our own opinions on what it meant.
Yeah.
We go to him, he decides, and now whatever that judgment was made is now common law. That's the law. Whenever this happens again, the same situation, they just follow whatever that decision was. It was
And
made.
that sets the standard.
And that's how, so the laws that are written by the legislative branch, right, whenever they're confused between two parties, it's taken to court, and then that judgment, like you know how when they say there's precedence in some other court case, when they go to court and they use some other court case, that's like common law precedence. They're using that other court case because there is no other written law that describes exactly what's going on.
What happened there in the example.
As an interpretation of that, whatever that is. So if there is no other interpretation or other court cases, this court case could be the one that sets what that law will kind of, how it will be interpreted from this point out.
You might be on with something.
That's just how the system's fucking set up. I didn't make it. These guys in their wigs figured it out 300 years ago.
The wigs.
3 people ago.
3 people ago?
Yeah.
No.
It's from the Joe Rogan special.
Oh.
He says 3 people.
Let me.
I'm just saying.
Enjoy it.
He was saying how
ruin it.
He was saying how young of a country we actually are. He's like, some people live to 100. That means we're 3 people.
Oh yeah. I saw a stand-up live.
He's
I guess
probably
he
said
used
that
that.
before.
Yeah. Now that you said that, yeah, we're only 3 people old or some shit.
That's good though.
Damn.
No, the key is education.
Education. What kind of education?
Education. I
What?
mean, you need to know how the system works, right? You don't even know how the system works, but if you knew how it worked, you had a better understanding of our system, you'd probably be more involved.
As you?
What do you mean?
As involved as you.
Maybe.
Touche.
What do you mean? I am involved. When I have issues, I go to my local government and I try to work it from there. As opposed to being upset about what some Supreme Court justices or Supreme Court nominees got going on. Like, that fucking matters.
Yeah, I don't think anything in my lifetime would ever approach Supreme Court level.
They don't even have to take the case. That's the other thing.
Yeah, they can turn it down or they can refer it back to the state.
fucked up.
But how do they get to decide which? Like they just get presented with cases and they're just like, nah, we're not taking it. Yeah, we'll take this.
I guess they vote. I don't know. Do we have don't we have a lawyer friend? Hook us up.
Yeah.
Right? Is he in there? Put it in the
No.
comments.
Ain't nobody in here. One person is on
It's-
YouTube. Is that you?
How's it me? What do you mean?
Your phone? Your...
I don't know.
Who can it be now? Damn it, you stole my glory. I'm pretty sure it was pretty awesome. Something awesome. I was going to go with that.
What do you mean? The whole, what was it? Taking tests? Oh,
Yeah.
that's horrible. Because then you got the people writing the test. They're just going to fuck it up.
Yeah, but I'm sure you can't be. Are you happy just the way it is now? To show up with your ID?
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. Well, you want them to put more, you want them to make it more difficult for you to get in there and vote? What should I have to do? You want more government intervention to vote?
No. See, this is a toughie for me, right? Because I don't want more government intervention, but I don't think dummies should be allowed to vote on policy.
Dummy is such a broad term.
I know it's a
Okay,
broad
well,
term.
how about who's it? The education. What's the education department now? The federal.